Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate everybody who tunes into this Periscope or who watches it from my YouTube or Facebook. I wanted to share with you kind of an update after 4 weeks of sobriety. I've been sharing a lot on Periscope, on my YouTube, and a lot on my Facebook about the day-to-day decisions that I make that have helped me remain sober for 4 weeks. And I thought that I would give you an update now because, 2 weeks not drinking, people can do all the time. The further you go, the longer you go, the more challenging it is. And it's so easy for people to fall back into old habits. So I thought I'd wait till the 4-week mark. That way, not that I'm an expert or that I have, 100% success. I mean, up to to this date, I do have 100% success, but I thought that it would come more from me going 4 weeks strong than just a week or two. So I just wanted to share a little bit about me in case you haven't watched any of my Periscopes or haven't followed me, but I started drinking at a really young age. And, my parents always drank wine. My dad drank Jack Daniels. My grandfather brewed his own beer. But it was, a hobby, and it was something that they just did every once in a while at dinner. And I've never been that person. I started drinking at a really young age. The first time I ever drank heavily, I was 12. I snuck out of my childhood best friend and neighbor's house and went across the street with one of her friends and just, got intoxicated. And the feeling wasn't that great. And as I grew up, I moved out of my parents' home at 15 due to a rough childhood. And I started drinking all the time. I started drinking on the weekends very heavily. And then I moved in with one of my girlfriends. And she expressed a lot of concern even then when I was 16, 17 years old about my drinking. She drank as well, but it wasn't as heavy. And she didn't make horrific mistakes like I did while under the influence. But I always brushed it off. And there have been periods, obviously, of sobriety. I'm a mother of 3, where I didn't drink. After I had my first child, I didn't drink until she was probably about 6 months old. I was pregnant all of 1999, so the whole statement, party like it's 1999, does not apply to me. And then when I had my second daughter, Emily, in 2003, I remained sober that whole time, and I waited till she was about 8 or 9 months old to start drinking. After my son's birth, Rebel, when he was born in 2010, I started drinking immediately. And I remember those times when I breastfed all my children, but with Rebel, I would drink excessively, not breastfeed him, pump and dump, pump and dump. And, I justified it and thought it was fine. And it became a habit. And I never really thought it controlled me. I never thought that it affected my life. I work in the health and fitness industry, and so I wanted to share this because, I think so many people are under scrutiny that depending on their industry that they work in, that they have to walk the talk, walk the walk, talk the talk, and I have talked so much about my mental illness and dealing with that, and I've heard from a lot of mental health professionals talking about their struggle with mental illness. So the thing is, just because you work in a certain industry or just because you do a certain thing doesn't mean that you're immune from the problems that you may help people with. But I've been very open about this, and I want to do it to not judge anybody or chastise them for their own decisions, but cause them to be more aware. I've always been the party girl. And, it was my way of coping. It wasn't something enjoyable. It wasn't something to go out and have a glass of wine at dinner with my husband. It wasn't about, I'm going to go meet up with some girlfriends and have a few drinks and go home. It was an excessive thing. And like I said, I've had bouts of sobriety, but when I did drink, it was always in excess. And then it started going from weekends to during the week and then at dinner. And it got to be where no matter what I did, I was drinking. And if you've been following me, you know that I finally got a diagnosis in August with borderline personality disorder, general anxiety disorder, and severe depression. These are all things that I've dealt with since I was about 4 years old, so it wasn't any surprise to me. It wasn't a shock at all, and it's just something that I finally felt like I had an answer and an ability to move forward. I started intense therapy in August. I actually went into a mental health facility for a week as an inpatient, and that was the most clarity that I had in a long time or ever in my entire life during that week. And, when I was in there, the therapist kept asking me, they're very intuitive. They kept asking about my alcohol consumption and drug consumption I was totally honest. Like, I've always had, drug and alcohol addiction, started very young. And, it was just something that actually caused a lot of issues for me, because I beat myself up all through my young adulthood. Am I a drug addict? What is wrong with me? Why do I crave drugs? Why do I need to drink? But I've never really voiced it out loud. But I felt safe talking to the therapist. But they, encouraged me over and over and over and over and over again to, go to AA. And I was like, oh, it doesn't really affect me. And, the more I talked to one of my therapists when I was at Rock Prairie Behavioral Health, he was talking a lot about how when you're on medication, the worst thing to do is to drink, especially if you're an antidepressant. Currently, I'm not on any antidepressants. I'm only on anxiety medications. And I finally, after 15 years of struggling and taking almost every prescription drug out there linked to anxiety or depression, I finally have the right formula where I feel that I've got a handle on my anxiety, where it doesn't consume my life. But, he was saying that if you're on any antidepressants, drinking is the worst thing, because it actually blocks your body's ability to absorb the medication, and you end up getting about half the dose. So if you are on antidepressants and you're drinking alcohol regularly, or make sure that you do talk to your doctor and honest, so that, especially if you're not seeing any results with the medication. And now I look back, any of the medications I ever took, I was not changing anything about my lifestyle. I was just taking a medication thinking that everything would get better. And although medication does help you manage the effects of depression or anxiety or any type of mental illness, you also have to make some changes along your life. And, it wasn't until the point where I was completely intoxicated and took way too many of my Ativan, and got one step closer to that, suicidal tendency that I've had since I was about 4. And it scared me, because I didn't want to be that person. I've seen the effects of suicide. I have a family that I love. And so it made me start opening my eyes. And I started telling my husband, okay, I think I need to quit drinking. But it was scary for both of us, because everything we have ever done over the last 10 years as a couple revolved around alcohol. And so it was like, that was part of us. It was part of our life. And for us, dealing with, coping with bad childhood, our own PTSD, dealing with our marital problems that we were trying to fix after being separated for a little over 2 months, it just seemed scary, because that became like our safety net, what it was to cope, because it just numbed us out. It helped us lose our inhibitions. It helped us talk, we thought, easier about our problems. But we needed to learn, I realized, and this is one thing that therapists have talked about, is we need to learn how to voice our opinions and our emotions, and find a healthy way of discussing them and conveying them to others and displaying them, instead of bottling it up. And we shouldn't need any type of substance to inhibit ourselves or to suppress our emotions, because that leads to just, catastrophic events, which we are the poster children for that. So I finally decided, okay, well, maybe I'm going to start, drinking less. And we said that, and then there was like 2 weeks where we drank every day, except for I think like 1 day a week. And, I just started thinking, this is a problem. And it finally dawned on me after talking to one of my friends who actually had been sober for about 3 months at that time. She said, you need to get a handle on this. This is really scary. Because I admitted, I was like, whenever I'm, under the influence, I, start talking about the things that bother me because it's easier. Then I start wanting drugs. I'm like, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to fall back into old habits. So she's like, you need to really get a handle on it. And she was explaining to me about how she made the steps and how it had, positively impacted her life. But I wasn't really ready, but it was that accountability that I had. So I really encourage you, if you have become aware of your alcoholism, and that you don't like that maybe it's increasing or becoming, you're consuming more alcohol more frequently, and it's starting to concern you, you talk to somebody about it. That way you have a perspective from somebody else. Because one thing that I share with the people that I work with is, no matter if you're trying to convince yourself to or not do something, you can. Whether it's to be successful or to quit something, whatever it is, our brain is powerful. And if we are the only person who knows our thoughts, it's so easy to convince ourselves to do or not do something that really isn't healthy for us or positive. So having somebody else is great way to get a second opinion. And also talking to somebody who's actually been in your shoes, or a couple steps ahead of you, they can help reassure you that the feelings you're feeling are normal, give you the reasons why you should make the choices that you're wanting to and actually follow through with it, and share with you the positive impact it has so that way you have some motivation. So in October, I wrote out these goals. One of my goals was to drink my Shakeology every day so I stay healthy, because I had slacked off on that whenever I was dealing with, severe depression, and to not miss a single workout and to follow my workout plan that I had laid out. Drink a minimum of 80 ounces of water a day and only have 2 cheat meals per week. And then also to continue weekly therapy sessions, take my anxiety medications daily, read or listen to 10 to 20 minutes of personal development daily, finish my book, Language of Letting Go, and sobriety was work towards 100% sobriety. And my October goal was no alcohol 25 out of 31 days. And personal was to take one me day a month to really focus on self-care and doing something for myself. Spend time unplugged each week, stick to a schedule, get out of bed no later than 8:30 a.m. and be in bed by 10 p.m. and plan a family activity unplugged throughout the month, and then 2 date nights per month, and celebrate my husband's birthday on the 25th. Well, I write my goals out weekly and monthly and annually, and over the last year and a half, whenever, I started slipping back into old ways, my goal list that I had was left pretty much incomplete over and over and over and over again. I'm proud to say that I hit every one of these goals, except for we didn't have 2 date nights a month with Ryan and I did not get in bed by 10 p.m. every night. However, I had all the other goals, and there's no coincidence that this has to do with my not drinking. So in October, I actually drank 3 nights out of 31. So I beat my goal of 5 nights out of 31. And the last time I had a drink was October 25th for my husband's birthday when we were in Miami. I will say that whenever we were there in Miami, we drank excessively, and there was a lot of part at the end of the night that I don't remember. And like I told my husband, we spent the evening together celebrating your birthday. However, I don't remember part of it. I don't like not being present. I missed out a couple hours of your birthday, even though I was in body there. The next day, I was suffering from a hangover. I didn't really feel nauseous or like my head hurt. I just didn't feel good. And I sat on my Coach Becky's couch and sighed with her all day, and we felt brain dead. We didn't get up and get moving until around 11:30 to go eat. We ended up going out to eat. What I ordered, which I tried to order healthy, but I couldn't even hardly eat it because I just didn't feel right. I felt like I was in a brain fog all day long. I was trying to get set up for the next week for work, and and then Ryan sat outside and they watched the football game and they drank all day, and then they went to a pizza parlor and drank. And I mean, when he came back, I was just annoyed. I didn't care that he had gone, but it was just like he wasn't sober, and I was sober, and I was tired and cranky, and it really hit home that, like, wow, we just screwed off your whole actual birthday, which was October 25th, for me being hungover and you staying drinking, and he was like, well, we did go out the night before, but I'm like, it wasn't really quality. Yes, we had a great time, and yes, we'll remember that, but that's not really what I was going for. So then I said, okay, then I am going to not drink from here on out. I'm working 100% sobriety. And, he wanted to support me. And so since October 25th, I've not had a single drop of alcohol. On Halloween, he ended up having 2 beers, but he has not had a single drink since then. This is monumental for both of us. And the thing is, I didn't force him to get sober with me. I just declared why I was doing it, what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, and that, shared it publicly. And he wanted to support me. I want to say that there have been, I can't really say what one is the most important benefit that I've seen, but I will say that since we are both sober, we are more aware of what's going on around us. We are more present with our family. We have a routine now. We have time with our family where our kids want to be around us, where we sit and laugh, and our dinners aren't hurrying up, trying to get through dinner so we can go outside and drink beer. And we're enjoying our time together as a couple. It's strange. I will say it's very strange because we've never been sober. For 10 years, we've always been drinking. Our vacations have been playing around drinking. Everything, our date night was playing around drinking. We're not fighting, and that is one thing that I haven't really shared publicly, but everybody knows that we had a lot of marital issues, and we just couldn't figure out what it was. I blamed him, he blamed me, we blamed each other, we blamed ourselves to a degree, and we just kept doing stuff, and we just partied a lot to distract ourselves and to, not focus on what the problem was, and we just kept thinking that miraculously something was going to happen. Well, our marriage issues took a toll on our children. My daughters in May moved out of our home because they couldn't handle us fighting. They couldn't handle the disagreements. It didn't feel like a home to them, and they moved in with their father. I knew it was bad, and I blamed him for it. And it was just, our family fell apart, and it was the most devastating thing in the whole entire world. And I've been working really hard to get my family back, and one of the things was drinking, because I finally realized that all the times that I told the therapist and at health fairs and everything and myself that I was lying, alcohol did disrupt my life, and it disrupted my family, which was my life. So I shared with my children that I was going to quit drinking, and they didn't believe me because I'd said it before. They'd asked me before to quit drinking, and I wasn't ready. And I've been sober, and my girls have been coming back over weekly. They've stayed 2 whole weekends with us and stayed for 4 days one day, and they actually got to see that their mom, who said she was going to do a certain thing and never did it, is actually following through. And I've seen the quality of my marriage and the quality of my relationship with all 3 of my children change extensively. You're not present when you're drinking. You're not present when you're getting just completely drunk. You're not aware of what's going on. You're numbed to your problems, but you're also numbed to reality and your responsibilities. Since we've not been drinking, we have dinner at a regular time. We've been eating breakfast together. I haven't been sleeping late. There's been 3 days that I have slept till 9:15, and this morning I stayed in bed till 11. I woke up at 10:15, but that was it. I've been making my bed every day. I have been doing my hair every day. I've been putting on makeup every day. Not that hair and makeup are that important, but for me, I feel better about myself. So I've been doing things that make me feel better. I have been more active in my team as well as my family. I have been listening to motivational videos as soon as I wake up every morning. I have been listening to personal development. I've almost finished my 2nd book, which is something that I did not do in 2013 or 2014. It was very erratic, and my consistency with anything was down. I have only missed 5 days of working out, which are considered rest days, since September 13th. I have lost to date 13 pounds. I wake up in the morning feeling as good as I do all day long. I don't drag. I don't sit there in a mental fog, and it feels great to be here, and it feels great to be alive. I feel accomplished. I wake up every morning with enthusiasm. We've spent less money, because one thing I realized is that when you're drinking, you don't feel motivated to do anything. You go out to eat more often. When you go out to eat more often, you usually make bad choices. We've been cooking at home together. We don't go out to eat. We've eaten out maybe 4 times in the last month. We have saved a lot of money because of that. We went out to dinner twice in the last month, and Ryan and I both took note that it's funny, whenever it was him and I going out to eat, we would actually spend about $80, $90, and $100 at each meal. This was because alcohol was included. We went out to dinner, and our bill was a little less than half the price for Ryan, Rebel, Haley, and I to have a very nice dinner in Houston. And I was like, oh my God, last time we went, we ordered alcohol, and it was almost double. Then the other night, we went out to Outback Steakhouse, and we were running late in College Station, so we really couldn't go home and make the 30, 45-minute drive home and then cook. We would be starving. So we decided to go in there, and we went in as we were walking and saying, okay, this is what we have left to eat to make sure that we hit our nutritional goals. Let's stick to that. And funny thing was, him, Rebel, and I's dinner was $44. And again, it was a huge, huge, huge eye-opening experience that, our bills are less than half for, 3 to 5 people than was for just me and him drinking. We are doing stuff together as a family that you can't put a price on, but the amount that we're saving in eating out and alcohol is just amazing. I mean, totally amazing. have been more than anything inspiring people, which is so strange to me that, people say I can't be a leader. I am a leader, and you can be a leader about something you're not even an expert on. I was the party girl. I was the girl saying, come join my team. We like to drink. We like to party. It's fine. I was the one who was always having get-togethers, always the one that was drinking at every dinner we went out to, the person that would get beer on the way home. And then we'd go to the convenience store down the road to get more beer. And, I prided myself since I was a kid, I could outdrink any man, and I could. And those are things that I'm proud of, and now that I have older children, I don't want them to live that lifestyle. I don't want them to think it's okay. I sat there and thought about all the times that we were sitting outside drinking in the garage, and our kids had to come out and sit with us to spend time with us. That's not what I want to set an example for them, for whenever they become parents. Or I don't want them to look back at their time with us that they had to come out to the garage and watch their parents get drunk to have a conversation with them. I've thought about all the people that I've met in therapy and all the successful people I've watched in seminars, like Danny Johnson, and their stories that they all had to do with their alcoholic or drug addict parents or people with mental illness. Well, alcohol makes mental illness worse. And so I want to get better, and I want to set a good example for my kids and leave a legacy for them, and also teach them that you don't just give up, and that you always fight to be better, and that if their one example is their mom can't fight to be better for herself or for them, what are they ever going to learn to fight for in their life? That was so important to me. And I just realized that I left home at 15 because my parents were very controlling and abusive. And I just remember waking up one day thinking, I don't like to be controlled by any human being. Why have I allowed myself throughout my life to be controlled by drugs or alcohol? Why would I allow these things that are damaging to me keep controlling me when I left home at 15 because my parents were controlling and damaging me? And that was a huge, huge wake-up call. And one thing that Ryan shared publicly the other day was that, he decided to get sober with me. He committed to 21 days of following a exercise and fitness program and eating better with me. And he said that he was going to prove to me, in his mind, that it didn't apply to him, that it didn't affect him. And that after 3 days, which he admitted to me too, he saw a major difference with not drinking. And, it's so easy to fall back into old ways, but we're working together. We're focusing on each victory every day. Every day that we don't drink is a victory. And for me, if you tell me I can't do something or somebody doubts me, I'm going to push harder. And so I know there's people out there who are watching me. People have, said, I hear you're not drinking. You sure you don't want a beer? And they're just testing me. But I want to make sure that I don't cave. And I'm not saying that I will never not drink, but right now, I still feel that I wouldn't have the control over my drinking if I were to start drinking. And I want to prove to myself more than anybody that I have full control over my life, and that I want to get better, and I can set a good example for my kids. And I'm just loving the benefits that I am seeing since I've not been drinking. One of my friends said the other day, all right, so I've been watching everything you say about, your sobriety. She hadn't said anything about that. She's like, and she reported that she was 3 days into her sobriety. And so I know that people are watching me, and I'm not trying to shame anybody or judge anybody, but I'm just trying to make people more aware, because one thing she said was that she'd always drink about 2 glasses of wine every night. Not a big deal. There's health benefits of drinking wine. But when she started noticing that her 2 glasses of wine became more, and it was every day, it started to alarm her. I don't know if she would have thought of it on her own, or if it's because in helping people become more aware of their own decisions and their actions and their daily habits. But, on day 4, she said, I am down 5.6 pounds. And, alcohol does totally screw up your metabolism, totally screws up your appetite and the way you eat. I know that, and test it out for a week and see how your eating improves compared to that. But, those were amazing things. And she is still, a week later, not drinking. And I'm leading all these people towards sobriety. And if they cave and have a drink, I'm not going to beat them up, and it's their own journey. I'm just encouraging them, because more people are starting to realize that, hey, we're being pretty tied down to alcohol. And I've realized that since I'm home more often and I'm present mentally and I have the energy because I'm drinking makes you sluggish, I'm eating better and I'm working out because my alcohol consumption isn't affecting my ability to work out or eat well. So all these things are making me feel great, and I'm home and I'm present more often. We are cleaning our house. I don't have to pay a housekeeper anymore. I've been paying a housekeeper for the last 2 years because I was too tired to do it. I convinced myself, but really, the less time that I spent outside drinking or staying at other people's house drinking or going out to the bar with friends to have like a couple's date night or whatever I wanted to convince myself, now we're cleaning our own house. So I'm saving money there, and we're doing it as a team, and we're in a routine now. And something the other day, Ryan got up and was unloading the dishwasher because he's not drinking either, so he's helping out a whole lot more too. So we're fighting less about that. We're actually partners in this. We're doing this as a team. But the other day, 2 days in a row, he got ready to unload the dishwasher, and Rebel came on his own, picked up the silverware, which we've always asked him to do. It's his one little chore he's had at 4 and 5 years old, and he started doing it on his own. So don't think that your kids aren't watching you, they're not picking up on you, and that if you have a predictable routine and a lifestyle, your kids will follow suit. If you have an unpredictable and unhealthy lifestyle, they will follow suit too. This is so important. I've been tracking how our life is. I've been keeping track of the wheel of life, which is something I've talked about on calls before, about finding balance in my life. And although our life is not perfect, and although there's other things that we're dealing with that we're going to have to fix, and our marriage is not out of the woods, and it never will be, our life has gotten so much better. And it's so strange to see how different it is through the eyes of a sober person instead of with beer goggles, and how the choices that you make day by day, little by little, become normal things for you, and they change your life, not just a little bit, but significantly, and they're helping us lead a much better, cleaner, healthier, more present life. And you know what? That's the one thing that I hear from so many people, is that they just can't get that time back, and they regret the mistakes they made. And I have spent so much of my life regretting things that I've done, and the things that I can't change, and getting time back with my kids that I can never get back. But you know what? Better late than never. Fix it now. And be honest with yourself. Is your drinking consuming too much of your time? Is all the things that you're turning down on the things that you're missing out on because of you really don't have time because you're doing something productive that's making your life better and adding value to your life and making you feel like an accomplished, better person? Or is it because you're wanting to save that time for drinking? Trust me, I'm not going to judge you, but I know that many of you can probably answer that drinking does consume a lot of your time. And if you're not ready to make the changes, that's fine, but set small goals and really take a look around at your life, because you know what? It all leads to a big bout of depression, because when you're not productive, when you're not following through with things, when you're not doing things for yourself, when you're not making healthy choices, you get depressed. And then you know what? That makes you drink more. Then you get more depressed. And then next thing you know, you wake up and your whole world has fallen around all around you. And that's what happened for me. But you know what? If I can fix it, anybody can. Start by setting goals. Start by talking to somebody that will help hold you accountable. Start talking to somebody who's gotten sober and can give you tips. There's a book called The Easy Way to Stop Drinking from Alan Carr. One of my other sober friends was just sharing that with me. It's an easy read. So if you want some step-by-step tips, and maybe I'm hard to follow, get that book. Set a goal. Don't go cold turkey. Like I told you, I've been doing all these things. I've done it in the course of September 13th till now. So all of this didn't happen overnight. But set goals. Start a goal like I did in October, was to drink 6 days out of 31 days. Well, I ended up only drinking 3 days out of 31 days. So that was great. But if you don't write it down, if you don't set goals, you're never going to hit it. It's not going to be reality. If you don't tell anybody, then you're going to be able to convince yourself, oh, okay. You have to tell your peers around you, or else they're going to be like, come on, drink, because that's all they know. That's the norm. You know, and if your family or your friends or the people that are around you don't understand your journey, then either there's two things. They suck and you need to find new associates. Or number two, you're not explaining to them how important it is to you and why you're making these decisions and that you are committed to this. So make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people and that you're being honest with them as well as yourself. But do small things. Start off with small goals towards your drinking. Start a goal to start eating better, to start drinking more water, to going out less. You know, if you're somebody who goes out every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, then set a goal for just Friday and Saturday. Then go back to just a Friday or a Saturday. Then go back to twice a month, then once a month. The thing is, these things that people think that they want to get over here, and they're right here, you know, you kind of have to slowly, gradually move towards there instead of just saying like, boom, I'm going to make all these changes. But I will tell you that it is worth it. And you don't have to go without alcohol, but if alcohol is consuming too much of your time, too much of your money, making you foggy minded, keeping you away from your family, making it where you don't want to get up off the couch on a Sunday because you're so hungover, you don't want to clean your house, or you don't want to cook because you're too tired or you're too hungover, or if you're just cranky or irritable because you're tired like I was, which causes fights and irritability towards your children, then make some changes. You know, if you need help, go to AA. I do not go to AA. I get enough support from my husband, from the personal development that I'm involved in, from my fans and followers that I talk to. So I personally don't feel I need to go to AA. But if you feel like you need that extra support, go to AA. Do whatever it takes to make your life better, because you have one life, one shot, and time you never get back. And the example you're setting for your family is what you're doing now. People learn from what you do more than what you say. And the thing is, your children are watching you, and that is the most critical thing as a parent, because I am the product of somebody who has blamed for years my life and my choices and my state of mind on my childhood. So how dare I screw up my kids' childhood because I had a screwed up childhood? I want them to have a childhood that they don't have to recover from. Yeah, it's not been perfect. Yes, we've had our bumps in the road, and we always will be. But I would rather them remember that time when their mom got her shit together and made an effort for them and stuck with it than to never have that opportunity. So this is something that's really big to me. So I hope that you cheer me on, and I hope that I have your support to keep going, and I hope that I inspire other people to make better, healthier choices, whatever it is, whatever your addiction is. You know, people have addictions that they turn to all the time because they're just coping, and you have to look at your actions. If they're not adding value to your life and not making you better, not really making you feel better, then you need to change your course of your life. There was a quote that I showed in the beginning of this Periscope, and I'm going to read to you. It says, until you heal the wounds of your past, you are going to bleed. You can manage the bleeding with food, with alcohol, with drugs, with work, with cigarettes, with sex, but eventually it will all ooze through and stain your life. You must find the strength to open the wounds, stick your hands inside, pull out the core of the pain that is holding you in your past, the memories, and make peace with them. So whatever it is you need to do, find a therapist, find a life coach, find an AA or, NA or some sort of support group. Do whatever it takes to regain control of your life, because it's never too late. Whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, make amends with your past. Live in the present and focus on your future. Have a great Sunday.